The much anticipated follow-up to the first Norse-era God of War game from 2018, Ragnarok, is finally releasing on PS4 and PS5 on November the 9th. It will be a PlayStation exclusive, and there is no more than a rumour about its eventual PC release. Although it may only be available to play on PlayStation, the PS4 and PS5 versions will share the same core game. This makes it a true cross-generational release, although obviously its performance on the two consoles will differ. The events of God of War Ragnarok take place about 3 years after its 2018 predecessor, after Kratos and Atreus accidentally trigger Fimbulwinter. The Great Winter is nearly over, and the game opens up on the lead up to the end of the world, or Ragnarok. As a result of the 3 years passing, Atreus has grown up a lot and has developed into an entirely different person. He is now filled with wanderlust and wants to explore the realms and save the world from Ragnarok. Kratos, on the other hand, wants to lie low and protect Atreus. It'll be interesting to see how that dynamic unfolds. According to the developers, the combat in God of War Ragnarok will be much more visceral and brutal than in its 2018 predecessor. It will remind you of the combat in the older God of War games, if you'd played any of those. The game will also offer players more expression by introducing new abilities and upgrades not available in the previous titles. Skills such as grappling will provide players with more options for tackling situations and will make fights much more dynamic. Unlike the previous game, each weapon will have its own techniques and signature moves. The Leviathan's axe, Frost Awaken, the Blades of Chaos, Stoke the Flames, and Death from Above are just a few of the new abilities introduced in this title that will make combat much more engaging and interesting. Like in the previous title, Atreus' arrow will play a role in both combat and puzzles. A new arrow type called Sonic Arrows have been revealed, which explode with a sonic shockwave upon impact. These arrows can stun enemies and break certain objects in the environment, which can help you with puzzles. We don't currently know how many different arrow types will be featured, but it's likely that some from the previous title will be returning. Unlike its predecessor, God of War Ragnarok features distinct shield effects. For instance, the Stoneworld shield cannot parry, but it can absorb a bunch of damage, which you can release later by hitting the ground with it. The Dauntless shield, on the other hand, will reward you for landing the perfect parry by unleashing a ground smash that will send the enemies into the air. A new combat mechanic in this game is called Bifrost damage. When inflicted with it, you don't take immediate damage. Instead, a portion of your health bar is marked purple, and then the next time you take damage, the entire purple section is inflicted as additional damage. It'll be important to avoid taking Bifrost damage when in encounters with enemies that can inflict it, but even if you do take some Bifrost damage, you can postpone its effect by blocking, dodging, and parrying. In the God of War title released in 2018, many players felt that there wasn't enough variety in the enemies to fight and too few bosses to challenge them. It seems like Ragnarok will quell both of these concerns, as many new enemy types have already been revealed. This should do a lot to force players to vary their combat styles to tackle different kinds of foes. As far as bosses go, the first few hours of gameplay feature 3 different boss fights, which is impressive. Thor is fought very early on, as well as Bjorn and Dreki. The 3 bosses will all feature unique mechanics and challenge the player in the game's early hours. Hopefully, these awesome boss encounters will be followed up by a handful of other cool bosses for the middle and latter sections of the game. While the series' Greek saga consisted of 6 games, it'd be strange to expect the Norse saga to last that long. However, the developers have clarified that this saga won't even be a trilogy. That is, Ragnarok is the final game in the Norse-era saga. While this may sound like bad news, it may mean that the game offers much more than currently revealed, as it would if it manages to tie up all the loose ends that it creates. God of War Ragnarok is poised to be yet another cinematic masterpiece, following in the footsteps of the 2018 God of War release. It will feature beautiful cutscenes, brutal combat, engaging mechanics, and a touching story. If you're a fan of the previous God of War games, Ragnarok seems like a no-brainer choice. It'll be a true sequel to the award-winning 2018 release, while improving upon that framework and reintroducing beloved aspects of the older God of War games that fans have wanted for years. God of War Ragnarok releases on PS4 and 5 on November the 9th, but if that is too long for you to wait, then why not watch one of the other videos here at 128KB, and we will see you next time.
War is coming!
You don't really want war. All that blood on your hands, on your son's hands.
Fate only binds you if you let it.